Hey everyone, welcome to this summary of Forza Horizon 5's 20th monthly content update. It looks like they're keeping up some good momentum for yet another month because this season, as well as the teases for next, are looking pretty dang good. So let's jump right into the playlist. The theme this time around is high performance, and that's pretty obvious with all the cars we're getting, starting with an overall series reward at 80 points for the Ferrari 599XX, and the McLaren can be yours as well for 160. Then starting off summer with an absolute bang is the Huracan STO for 20 points. A lot of people predicted this one from that teaser image we got, and it turns out they were right. 40 points will get us the KTM Crossbow GT4 as well, and further in the week we're going back to 2 event labs, but there isn't too much else of note here. And finally, the Forzathon shop will have the Elise GT1 and R8 V10. In autumn, we get another phenomenal car, the Porsche 935. What an incredible pick. I love seeing more spec race cars in Horizon. And then the Neo comes back as well, which we haven't seen in the playlist for nearly a year. And then throughout the rest of the week, we can see these playlists are kind of starting to fall into a much more regular pattern. So nothing too out of the ordinary here. And the shop has the McLaren P1 and the Chola. Winter then brings us another car to round out the modern Audi roster, the 2021 RS6, and we'll be able to get one of my favorite cars ever, again for 40 points, the Noble M600. Blue Lagoon by Subi156 is up in the Event Labs, which is an amazing racetrack, and you can get the older RS6 from the Playground games this week, alongside the Agera RS and Aston Martin DB11 in the Forzathon shop. Finally, for spring, we have what I think is the strongest car of the update, the Porsche Mission R for 20 points. This car is so cool, do not miss your chance to pick this one up while it's available. And on top of that, the XKRS can be yours for 40 points as well. Standard fare throughout the week then, and the Forzathon shop has the Rimac Concept 2 and BMW M1, alongside an emote that I think describes quite well how I feel about the cars for this update. You know, I think this is a kind of clear case of Horizon adding in cars that have actually been made for Forza Motorsport, but just to be clear, I am totally okay with that. I love driving actual race cars in Horizon, and I love driving more daily drivers in Motorsport, so cross-pollinating those car lists is best for both worlds. And I think that Event Lab tracks in Horizon offer a really unique environment for having race cars, so keep them coming. And give us some more touring cars soon, please. I could really use them for my own racing league. Now, of course, this isn't everything for the update, because we are, for really the first time, getting an all-new racetrack. This is a fully custom oval track that takes place inside the stadium, and it is staying for good. This is really the first major permanent evolving world change we've seen in Horizon 5, and I really hope that now that the dev team is probably not busy working on expansions anymore, that we can get more incremental updates like this to the base game. As for the track itself, it looks great. I do think it's definitely small, but for something inside the stadium, they couldn't have really made it any bigger anyway, so it gets a pass in my book. This is still going to be a great addition to Horizon. And what I like is that for the duration of this season only, the track will also exist in the open world, whereas, of course, for future seasons, the stadium will show other locations, and the oval track will just be available as a standard race start. This is also great for Event Lab track creators who want a race start inside the stadium. So again, great addition to Horizon. I want to see more of this. Now let's move on here. There isn't too much else to cover in this season, but we are getting some new badges for owning a set number of cars in-game, specifically the Ghost Badge for 500, Blue Heart for 600, and T-Rex for 700 cars, which is actually going to be quite rare for a while, as to hit that badge this month, you will need to have some of the much more rare promo cars like the Oreo Pagani, and the OPI 4 GT. This is another thing I do love seeing, adding smaller, kind of unimportant vanity items that players can just use to show off. I think Horizon needs more of this, because at least for the next couple of months, having 700 unique cars is going to be a fairly rare accomplishment. And aside from that, we are getting some more accolades to go along with the new oval track, and a couple of temporary PR stunts are coming back as well just for this season. And now finally, I do want to bring up the bug fixes because there are some juicy updates here. For one, they've addressed an issue that saw the stock PI rating being shown in various menus and event leaderboards despite the player's car being upgraded. This one always bugged me, especially when in convoys, so I'm happy to see that one fixed. Next, a lot of PC players have probably noticed this one, I know I did, but now improvements have been made to performance degradation that occurred in two scenarios: while driving through the deformable sand dunes in the new map, and while driving the 2021 RS e-tron GT. So I'm definitely happy I can turn deformable terrain back on. Now let's get to the real good stuff here. Requirements to bind Anna and Forza Link on the D-pad while creating custom controller profiles have been removed. Thank the Forza gods above for this one. This has been a thorn in everyone's side for ages if you've wanted to run a custom controller layout. And now it should be much easier to get the layout you want without having to set up a bunch of really awkward bindings. And then to wrap us up, they've made improvements to Event Lab rules of play to alleviate issues where rule sets would not correctly function in multiplayer and cause players to desync. Now, what this actually fixes is still a bit of a gray area, but I can say that right now, Event Lab custom rules are quite broken, and multiplayer desync with things like traffic and weather is still a major issue. So if this does anything to fix that, I'm all for it. So overall, I think this is another great season. I'm really happy they seem to be keeping this momentum going. I do just hope it continues. And speaking of that, there is one thing left here. We never looked at the teaser for next month's update. Next month is called Explore the Horizon and includes updates to the photo mode, new overlanding mods for cars, of course new cars as well, and an all-new accolade style called Pathfinder. This has me very intrigued, but we'll just have to wait until next month to see what they do with it. And with that, thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.